We stopped third world migration. We suspended all refugee resettlement except for persecuted South Africans. They're being persecuted.
Leo XIV echoes Trump's call for anti-migration, where he opposes migration from third world countries, especially Africa, to the US. Well, this is a sigh of relief to most Americans who had viewed the Pope, who is an American citizen, as a champion for open borders against the policy of the President Donald Trump of securing the borders from illegal immigrants, especially from the global south, that is South America, Asia, and Africa. The Pope, in his tour around Africa, he echoed the same call while in Cameroon, where he urged university students not to immigrate to Western countries or abroad and focus on building their own countries.
Chers fils et filles du Cameroun, chers étudiantes, face à cette tendance compréhensible à vouloir émigrer, qui peut laisser croire que l'on trouvera facilement ailleurs un avenir meilleur, je vous invite avant tout à reprendre par un désir ardent de servir votre pays et de mettre au service de vos concitoyens les connaissances que vous êtes en train d'acquérir ici.
The Pope's message is a sound call to Africans to focus on Pan-Africanism and economic and social development of their countries. It seems like a simple call for Africans to remain in Africa, but does not address the reasons why Africans leave Africa. Remember, most African countries, if not all, considering that Ethiopia was not colonized, the rest of Africa was colonized by the British, the French, the Portuguese, and most European powers. And of course, America continues to impose its imperialism on African countries. And this colonization and imperialism has robbed Africa of its resources, especially mineral resources, human labor through transatlantic slavery, and of course, peace. We know most coups are sponsored by the West. We have seen destabilization in countries like Congo, where their elected Prime Minister Patrice Lumumba was assassinated by the CIA and the Belgians in 1960. And that country has never been stable ever since, considering its vast mineral resources of gold and rare earth minerals. Again, now we see in the same country, Donald Trump is trying to bring peace, but not peace that is benefiting the Congolese people. It is part of the imperialist culture where peace is done on economic basis or rather commercialized, where in signing a peace bill, they're also signing a minerals deal. So the US will be taking away minerals from the Congo, while the Congolese at least can enjoy aside from constant wars and constant displacement and constant being refugees in other countries. So clearly we can see, as the West insists that Africans should remain in Africa, this same call we don't hear from the Pope where he is in Europe. In Europe, he's insisting on open borders, that all Europeans should visit other Europeans, and also he behaves like a globalist, where the world should be one with no borders. But when it comes to Africa, they try to force us into living in Africa. Don't forget also the West lives in Africa. We still have the descendants of the colonialists who own land in Africa, in all the colonized countries in Africa. And no one is telling them to return to Europe. They dwell here peacefully. Well, like Walter Rodin said in how the Europe developed underdeveloped Africa, they made Africa so poor that it has to be dependent on Western donor aid, Western expertise, and Western lectures. And hence the West, through their Pope, who would pretend to be a religious leader but still taking orders from the imperialist West, comes to lecture Africa and tells us that, oh, you need to stay in Africa and develop your country. But yet, the leaders we have are puppets of the West. And when they see young people rising up to oppose these Western powers of neocolonization, these young leaders are usually given scholarships to go and study in Ivy League universities in Europe and the US. And once they finish their studies, they're even given jobs there. And this kills these revolutionary moments. These leaders, they get so westernized, they forget about their clamor for African independence and remove of these Western stooges from power. So the old guys continue ruling. And it was even ironical that Cameroon, where the Pope was, is being led by Paul Biya, who has been president for nearly going to over 40 years. And he has stayed in power and is always sustained in power by the West, especially the French, clearly showing that he's a Western stooge and the West is happy with him. Despite how he's running down the country, the West would rather have him in power, for he takes care of their interest. Well, as things stand, I do not agree with the Pope's message that Africans should be caged in Africa. Those who want to stay should be allowed to stay. Those who want to leave should be allowed and facilitated to leave. That is all. Kindly like and subscribe this channel.